don't know what to do, guys. Somebody know which speaker it is? I don't want to refresh.
Hello and welcome to another
I hate my
episode
computer
of
so
the Line
much.
7 podcast. Apologize for the slight delay, technical difficulties like always, but hey, we are here ready to talk about everything Club Leon in English. We were missing Jose in hopes of he'll magically make it home, and Javier is dealing with some technical difficulties, but we'll try and get him back on as soon as possible. Monday night football game, which we'll have lots to talk about. Definitely, you guys heard our intro. Go ahead and follow whenever the screen fixes to Los de Arriba with a QR code, and obviously the Lions podcast on the other QR code. We'll definitely have lots to talk about today, everything that happened and the match versus Xolos, victory Monday, and obviously we're here midweek because we are going to preview against the Juarez game, which will have a very special guest with us, joining us to help us preview that. Let's see if we can get Javier back on.
Hello.
Are you on, Javier? Yes, no, maybe so. Still fixing that. Yes.
Hi, how are you guys?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm fixing it. Yeah.
Great.
Oh, he's hearing me very super late.
I have a delay.
He has a delay. Okay, guys, so let's just go ahead and start talking about the game. So before that, we always like to kind of give you the facts before the game starts. So we're going to get Carlos to give us his club team news, and we're going to take it away. So let's cue the segment.
All right, guys. Wow, incredible. All right, guys. So I got three major headlines for this week. The third one was obviously Andres Mosquera returning to the starting lineup, which is good. We hadn't seen him start since last season. It was Apertura 2019 against Veracruz. That crazy game against Veracruz where we almost lost to the worst team in the league, guys. That was the last time he started, so it's good to see him back in the starting lineup. Also, we had Leo Ramos news last week. It looks like he's going to be heading out to Pachuca. Just working out some minor details, but he should be on his way there. So good news for him. And top story was Angel Mena and Armando Leon, both recovered from COVID, so they were available for Monday night's matchup against Xolos, and they came off the bench, and I think they both played decent minutes. I think Mena was the one who had more minutes, so he had more to show. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the starting lineup. No surprises. Well, a couple surprises actually. I think the biggest surprise for me was William Tecillo playing left back. Center backs were Steven Barreiro and Mosquera. And then right back was Navarro. In the midfield, we had Luis Montes and Ivan Rodriguez. And then on the wings, we had Moreno and Avion Ramirez. And then up front, we had Campbell and Meneses. So, like I said, no big surprises except maybe that William Tecillo on left back. But I know that's Louis' preferred position for William Tecillo. What did you think, Louis?
And we've seen him play plenty there. We've seen him play plenty there. He's just it hasn't been the custom in the last couple tournaments to use him there because of the emergence of Jairo as such an effective two-way wingback on the left. So we get enough mobility with Jairo in that spot that we don't need to have Tecillo running back and forth as much on the left wing. So it just hasn't been accustomed. We've fallen out of the custom of seeing him play there, but I still think it's a very, very effective position for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy. I was happy to see that for sure. Well, certainly not I didn't look at that. I didn't see him there and be like, well, what's he doing? I didn't see it as any sort of experimentation because I know that he's such an experienced player at that position.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because in the past, like we've seen somebody do a little experimenting. That's clearly experimenting, just putting guys where they don't belong and seeing if they work out. You know, sometimes it turns into meaning that guy turns into a really good player at that position, like we saw with Jairo. But sometimes I remember specifically that Puebla match from a couple seasons ago, where they just threw guys in strange places and it didn't work at all, and it just seemed like why tinker with something that you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But no, not Tecillo. Tecillo is a fine left back. In fact, I mean that's what he came in to be originally. So yeah, I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I think the other major surprise was Joel Campbell playing 9. Just because we haven't really seen him play that position with Leon. He's mostly played that position with La Selección when he gets called up to La Selección de Costa Rica. But I mean, to say the least, he didn't do a very good job, guys. Not at the
No,
9.
he did not.
It was pretty bad.
Never again. I
No,
hope.
he didn't. Yeah.
You know, I don't know about never.
Well,
again.
I mean, you know, we were just talking about let's give him opportunity.
But
Nah,
I
but
don't
you're
think.
ahead. You know, when you.
I don't think.
I think.
I just don't
don't
think
know.
his faults. I don't think his faults have all that much to do with where he's playing. I think he tries to do too much. You know, he wants to do something cute, and we just need him to do something simple. And I think he's been doing that out of the wing positions too, out of even a more creative role. He just tries to get too cutesy, because he has the ability. I mean, he can pull off amazing things. He has unique talent among our roster and among Liga MX players, really, and he always wants to show it off. He always wants to do genialidades, but sometimes we just need him to do the most straightforward thing. And I don't think whether it's playing as a 9 or playing more on the wings or in the middle, I don't think that has much to do with it. Like he had a perfect ball fall right in front of him, and all he needed to basically do was kick it in, and he just didn't want to. He decided to dive and try to head. That was.
It was like a dive header, flying Dutchman-ish kind of way.
Yeah.
I don't have the clip for that one, but I do have the clip where we're gonna see him in the second attempt, where I was just like, oh my god, if that would have gone in, it would have been.
Yeah, when he shot that laser. Woo, that one.
That would have been cool.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that would have been cool. But again, that's a shot you'd expect him to take, no matter where he's playing. Whether if he's got that shot in front of him, he's got to take it. So I don't think that has anything to do with him failing as a number 9.
Yeah, you're right.
I just think he's been trying to do too much, no matter where he plays, and he needs to simplify, man. You know, just
Yeah, you're right. That shot wasn't bad though. The way he kind of thought it through. That's kind of what I want to see for un Punta de León. But I don't know. Will he start again as a 9? I don't know.
Now that
I think he can in. I mean, just in the.
Now that Armando León, and probably I would imagine
that we don't know when we're going to lose players, you know.
Yeah.
True, but I mean, I would imagine Nico Sosa will be back for the Juarez match. So I don't expect. If the experiment had paid off like royally well, I think they would consider sticking with it. But since it didn't, I expect them to go back more to what the status quo of what Humphreys likes to do up top.
Yeah.
I think what I really liked about this lineup was just, obviously we already talked about the CEO, kind of give Jairo more freedom, but he was really constricted on that side. We saw that kind of was a plan of attack against us, but I think overall, I think I expected much more, especially from the attacking third up, because we have the quality. It's just I think we're slowly kicking it into gear as we go. And like I've mentioned last podcast, in regards to COVID, which we will talk about it for the preview, we just don't know when we're going to lose players. So, and that also kind of questions like, okay, a player's off 2 weeks, and you're going to throw him back in, like. Sometimes maybe not be as easy as other times for players, depending. But we're gonna, I don't have the clip for the handball, but we did end up getting a penalty called before that half. But let's just talk about goals because we're not gonna fight over VAR. We're not gonna fight about yes or no, not a penal. Have something, Javier?
No, I agree. Let's just talk about goals. I don't know. It was a penal at the end of the day. I wouldn't have called it, but it's parte del reglamento. So it was a penalty.
Look, if that would have gone our way, we would have all cried penalty. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and this is a new era that we're living in, the VAR era that we have to get used to. Any contacto, any kind of handball, deliberada or not, it's going to be, I think marcada at this point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I agree.
But come on, guys. He's pulling his arm away from the direction that the ball is falling towards
I agree.
it. It was
I agree.
Weak.
His hand went to the ball.
It should not have been called.
Right?
Yeah.
The referee was in his right to call it. He was in his right to call it, and he did, but it shouldn't have been. It was weak. It was weak.
Yeah.
There, I said it.
It was weak.
Yeah. There were stronger handballs in the league, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's go with Javier. Let's go with goals. So we obviously needed to equalize, but did I miss? Oh, I missed the clip. I had the clip of the encounter with Marcelo and Steven Barreiro because that was obviously another chaotic moment because Marcelo didn't even know he had a red until he got up and the ref came at him and was like, "Oh, I got a red. Oh, it's a yellow now. Okay, what do you guys think about that call? Quickly before we move
on."
It wasn't a red.
I don't think it was a red.
It wasn't a red.
I don't think it was
orange,
red.
but it was definitely yellow.
It was an orange.
But I mean,
yeah, it was.
It was an orange.
It could have gone either way, but it was definitely yellow.
If he called Chapo's mano a penalty, then he could have called that a red too. I don't think either one was either one, but I mean that one ultimately didn't work in our favor. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been crying if he had been sent off, just like Carlos said. I mean, I would have been perfectly fine with it, but I don't think it was a red.
Yeah,
but even then though,
so definitely there. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Barreiro took a hit there, which ended up bringing some consequence in the second half. Before that, I mean, let's talk about the Meneses goal. I mean, I love this player. Monday Night Football. Sorry, that's the clip.
Falta. Yeah, I mean,
look, the card. The ref had the card in his hand already.
Yeah, he didn't see it though. Look right there. Orange, bro. It could have been either way, yellow or red.
And then whenever he fell, I was like, why is he touching his neck? Until I saw the replay, and I'm like, oh.
I mean, pues sí llega tarde, so.
Llega muy tarde.
So it should, like who said it, Javier? It should be an orange.
Yeah, it should be like orange, right in the middle.
It should be an orange. I accidentally forgot the other clip. I named this one the Meneses clip, but it was the foul clip, so I apologize. But Meneses had a really bomb golazo. You guys can definitely look that up. And let's talk about the Gigliotti goal
really
because he definitely. Oh yeah, for sure. Gigliotti had a goal. He needed a goal. Came in fresh off the bench. We've been needing a goal from El Puma, and we're gonna go ahead and see it right now.
Avion, what a game!
I like how he kind of unintentionally set himself up for it by passing out to Avion to get that pass back and then bury it. I mean, it took a deflection. It wasn't really his intention, but I like how he sold out to make that.
Yeah,
make that.
Pass. I love that he fought till the end. For that ball.
Yep.
Yeah, Avion Ramirez, bro. I think he had the best game I've seen so far with him in Leon.
Yeah,
he was everywhere.
He has. He's putting in work anywhere he plays.
Yeah.
But Gigliotti, I love how he was part of the play more than just the finish. He was part of the play. Two passes prior. Yeah, more than
someone mentioned on Twitter. Pointed out that the ref could have called that initial foul on Gigliotti, but he let the play continue, and that was very that was good because the ref let the play continue, and that's what created the goal. But the ref could have easily stopped play and called a foul.
And good thing he didn't though, because that was a golazo, and Puma Gigliotti needed that goal. Un golazo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you could tell what it meant to him. You could tell what it meant to him.
Yeah.
To open his account with the club.
Mm-hmm.
His goal account. You guys were mentioning about Avion, which I am in love with that player. He had a game, different positions, did well. I mean, guys, this episode is honor of him. A cruise control flight. He was just consistent. He was just very, very consistent, and I think he's been since preseason. Anywhere you put him, he'll deliver. And I think this past Monday night he had an awesome game. Anywhere you put him, he was just like he gave 110%. And you know, we've praised him on the pod before of how well he's adapted in a very short time. It takes most players of seasons. Even we've seen it with Dido, with Meneses, kind of adapt, and he quickly adapted. So it's a very good player to have, and I'm glad that he's been kind of weaving himself through the starting lineups.
We've criticized his growing pains a little bit too. I mean, there's been some bumps and mistakes along the way, but he's really, really growing into that utility role. And he's out there putting in work. He's really, really, he's adapting to what Ambris wants him to do, and he's ready for anything, and he's going out there and putting in work. So apologies to Avion for maybe getting on his case a little bit at first. For those first 2 hours. Yeah. Things were mixing the good in with the bad, but man, he's had a couple of really, really nice games, and looking like that should continue.
Yeah, I agree. Especially this game, I was like, he's everywhere. And even in the first goal with ahí le hicieron la falta, and then right off the bat, Navarro and Meneses la jugaron rápido, and the fans didn't have time to acomodarse. Golazo de Meneses. But I'm always happy when a Leones is playing good, doing good, even if it's not even like Aldo Rocha. He's not playing with Leon. I want him to do well, but this Avion Ramirez, he's playing with Leon, so I really want him to do well. So I'm just happy for him, and I'm happy that luego se acomodó en el sistema de Ambris, and I like the position he's playing. I think he's más libre, and he's a player that I'm like I'm a little amazed, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, that detail of playing for your hometown team, that's got to psychologically give him a little extra spurt, a little extra oomph, a little extra desire. I mean, those things shouldn't come into play ever really on any sort of quantifiable level, but I feel like it's got to mean something more to him, just a little bit more.
Yeah, that Cessna looks like it's evolving into a 747 jetliner.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is a podcast in honor of him. So I was like,
let's not go that far. It's like a 7. He's like a 777 right now, maybe.
777. I was trying to find something like I was like, I'm trying to think of a title, and then I started like just mix and matching words. I'm like, oh, this could work. So I think we're gonna start. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when he started out, we thought we were expecting the Wright brothers plane, so anything after that has been a bonus. But now he's starting to look legit.
The real deal.
Gotta hand it to him.
Yeah. Really shape up.
Yeah, it's been a surprise this season.
So I guess with that, definitely. With that, let's go ahead and pick a couple players and give them a performance review before we move on. Let's go with Avion. 1 out of 10. Javier, go.
A 10. He's the only one I gave a 10 in that game.
Okay. Louis and Carlos, you agree?
Agreed.
For Avion?
I think so. Yeah, I think he was the player of the match for us.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him a 9. I don't want him to get. I mean, I'm sure he's listening to this. I'm sure he's listening to this. and I don't want him to get a big head. I don't want to get him to get a big head over that performance. I want him to keep pushing to do even better. So yeah, 9.
Okay. I give him a 10. I think he was my player of the match that game. Let's go with Joel Campbell.
What did I give him? I think I gave him a 6.57, around there. It has to do with that wanting to head that ball when he could have kicked it, but I think that's what I'm gonna give him, 6.5.
Yeah, that's a big
Carlos and Louis
thing. Like, no, I'm gonna give him a 5.
Oh,
I'm gonna give him a 5. I mean, he didn't completely.
They're like the Simon Cowell of this, bro.
He didn't completely mail it in, but he didn't do. He just.
Are we losing?
He's pretty much saying he loves him with all his heart, and he's really considering giving him a 10. He was a little
Louis, go, come back.
I'll talk with you. I'll talk for you if you want. You love Campbell. You want to give him an 11, not a 5.
Louis frozen.
We'll wait.
No. Oh, there he is.
Loading back. There he is.
Hey, Louis. You didn't hear anything.
Louis?
Oh.
Okay, I'll talk for him again. Campbell, 10. All right, Louis?
We back?
Yeah.
We back?
Yeah.
We're back. I think we're
you
back.
were to talk before how you talked.
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah. No, I give him a 5. He didn't do his job. If he would have scored one of the easiest goals of his career if he hadn't tried to be too fancy. So that's a big deal when you're deployed as a number 9.
Yeah.
Carlos?
I'm going to give him a 6 for effort. I think that shot he had in the first half where the clip you just replayed, I think that was a good attempt. But other than that, didn't really see much from him. I'll just give him a 6.
I'm going to go with Carlos. I think he's a player that tries. I think it's just this game. I don't know if mentally he was just in the, I need to score, like kind of desperate. And like you guys said, he does too much. He takes, like, he tries to, like, what did you say, Louis? He tries to sweeten it up, or what did you say? Make it pretty?
Yeah, he tries to get cute.
Yeah, he tries to get cute.
He tries to get cute. There you go. That's the word.
Yeah, because to his credit, he has a distinct talent and the ability to get cute that really nobody else on the roster has. So I mean, true. I understand.
Yep. Yeah,
I understand him wanting to get a little bit showy, but the team doesn't need that. Maybe the team occasionally needs that, but it certainly didn't need that any of the times that he was called upon to intervene. Let's put it that way. Anytime he was called on to intervene in the game against Xolos, he tried to get cute, and we didn't need it.
Yeah, no, that's understandable for sure. Let's do Andres Mosquera. His return back into the starting lineup, like Carlos had mentioned. 1 to 10 performance review. Carlos, start with you.
He actually had a really, really solid game. Being his first game back in the starting lineup, I'm going to give him a 9 because I also noticed that he had 100% pass accuracy. So he never lost the ball once, and yeah, he looked pretty solid out there, I think.
Okay, Javier.
Yeah, I was gonna give him an 8, but I agree with Carlos. He's kind of returning, and it's admirable to see him not have a solid game. So I will give him an 8.5. I'm going decimal on you guys, but 8.5. But that's kind of cool what Carlos is saying, because I did read that I think it was 481 passes that Leon made, and they completed 414, which is like 80-something%. And I think Mosquera was a big factor in that. So 8.5. Again, 10 is like you had to have like an Avion game, and I don't think no one had a game like that. So 8.5 is not bad. 6.5 in my book is bad. So Campbell, I'm sorry, I think he's done better. Yeah, you're gonna get Louis over here giving you a 5, but I think he was even being he's going easy on you. That's like the Simon Cowell of this. I would expect like a 0 or something.
Oh my God, no, Louis is not that.
And
Louis
yeah.
for Andres Mosquera.
When you first mentioned him, I was thinking maybe like a solid 8. But then I remembered that, I mean, our defense looked nothing in the second half like it did in the first, and he was one of the guys who stayed on to hold down the fort. Barreiro and Tecillo had to be subbed off with molestias of some kind. We still don't really know. But he stayed on and held down the fort, and the defense really didn't miss a beat. They looked as solid in the second half with an alternative back line as they did in the first, and he was a big part of that. So I'll give him a 9, like Carlos did.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And one more, Ivan Rodriguez. And let's start off with Louis.
He just doesn't have it for me this season. He just
Really?
looks very. He just looks. I mean, he didn't have a bad game. This wasn't his worst game, but he just. I just want to see Aquino in there over here. If they're only going to play with one contención, I've liked way more in what we've seen of Aquino. I don't know what the deal is with Aquino. If he's borrado, if he made somebody mad, like if they just don't want to use him, or if it really just has to do with they want to start all those extranjeros up top, and they have to put another Mexicano somewhere. So the sacrificado is Aquino and Jefecito plays. I don't know. He just doesn't look sharp. He looks a little bit slow. He gets taken off the ball pretty easily. I'm not a big fan of him. I'll give him a 7, I guess, for this game. It wasn't his worst game, but yeah, I haven't been a big supporter of his this season in general.
Okay. Now, Carlos thinks the contrary, but I'm curious to see what you think his performance review is for this Monday.
I mean, not like fully contrary. I mean, I don't think he's as bad as Louis is saying. Yes, I think he could get better. I think he's getting better from where he was at a couple of months ago. But he's nowhere near the level of eliteness that he was during our championship run. Or near championship run. But I think he's getting back to it. Now, let's also not like underestimate him, because if he is in a better form than Aquino, and the coach is seeing that, then I mean, what can you really do? I mean, we know what Aquino can do, and we know that all of us prefer Aquino. But if the coach says that Ivan's in a better form, then we have to go with what we have. We have to go with what the coach says looks better out there. But I don't think he had a terrible game. I think he had a pretty solid game. Like Louis said, our defense looked pretty good in the second half, and I think the first line of defense is the defensive midfielders. So give it up to Jefecito. I'm going to give him an 8.
8. Okay. Javier, last but not least.
I'm like in the middle of both Carlos and Louis. I think he's definitely not the player that we're used to seeing him be. He has obviously great potential, but this season isn't his season. But I do think this is a game that he played better than other games, and I give him an 8. He was all right, solid. He did better than other players on the team, but I do prefer Aquino. I'm one of the people that do like Aquino more, and I don't know what's going on, why he's not playing or starting. Maybe it's, I don't know, drama, or Aquino. I mean, Jefecito is just in better form. And if that's the case, then I really want Jefecito to do better, and I think he's getting better, like Carlos said. Ahí la lleva.
After his injury, obviously he did not bounce back as quickly as whenever we saw before that. So it has taken him time. I'm not like oh my God, he is like getting close to his level. No, I think he has the capability, but it's taking him a little bit longer. Like you guys said, he's not the Capacito that was 2 or 3 seasons ago, but he's working on it. Could I see Pedro Aquino in Friday's game? Sure, why not? It's a small gap between Monday and Friday. So I do think, and then now what we're going to get into during the preview of the players that we're going to be missing, I do think there's going to be some shuffling around. Jefecito, I mean, I have so much faith in him. I think it's just he needs to get it right, be more precise. And if not, then we're going to have to just switch in and out. I mean, that's kind of how it is. So those are a couple of performance reviews on handpicked players. We'll definitely have that for next game. Quickly, just a rundown of the other games. Friday night, Pachuca won 1-0. Yes, Puebla did lose. They're not the giant like everybody's been saying since the beginning. Louis, I'm sorry. Louis, I'm sorry, but Chivas won 2-1 against San Luis. Cruz Azul Juarez. Cruz Azul won 3-2. Mazatlán Pumas 0-0 game. I mean, I'm not surprised. Monterrey Necaxa 1-1. A very interesting draw. An exciting game on Sunday. Toluca beat Tigres 3-2, which any team that beats Tigres, sorry, Luis, I applaud. And Santos Atlas de Olerji teams tied 0-0, which there's rumors of Almada's departure, but still yet to be confirmed anything. Querétaro América, I watched that game. Querétaro has been the Mata Gigantes from what the commentators are saying, and I'm loving the counterattacks versus América. I'm sorry to the Eagle Eye podcast because they know how much I do not like América, but I love them. We have good friendship, but Querétaro did really, really well. América had a red card for Richard Sanchez first half. And obviously, Monday night, Leon winning 2-1 versus Xolos, which we did have Cesar to preview that game. Now, moving into the second part of the podcast, which, again, we apologize for delayed, but we're going to preview the Juarez game. Now, I know when the preseason started, we had Eduardo from the pod, one of the other guys that covers FC Juarez, and also Zacarias, which we're gonna join him. We're gonna put him in the stream now. He was one of our guests when we first started our season, which is really exciting, and have him back. We're gonna introduce him now to the pod. Hello. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Really happy to be here and to join you guys on the pod.
I know. Now you're joining us when we're kind of new and approved and upgraded. Remember the old days? It was like we were starting from the bottom.
It's still fun though.
It's probably like, whoa, all these graphics before they had nothing. Yes. We did upgrade Zacarias, but it's for good. But thank you so much for joining us. I know you and Eduardo have done podcasts together regarding FC Juarez in English, which I think has been awesome because we definitely need that coverage. And I've been enjoying everything that you guys put out there dedicated to FC Juarez in English. One of the teams that I really like watching. So thank you so much for joining us. Now, talk to us a little bit about what you've been doing in regards to covering FC Juarez. I know, are you still writing articles?
I've been doing a little bit of that, but due to some restructuring with one of the websites that I was writing for, and with one of the editors getting laid off, things have been a little bit different. So I'm not really sure when that's going to start happening up again. So we'll see as time allows what exactly is going to end up happening with that.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to doing some of that. And then I was supposed to start doing some local coverage of the team with a website based out of Juarez that has people that go and cover the games live. But that unfortunately hasn't been happening due to the COVID nonsense and the limitations on the amount of people that are able to be in the stadium. So I think right now they're limiting it to 300 people, players, staff, and media.
Dang. I think definitely with the COVID, it has impacted just, especially you, because I know you started covering going to games last season. So yeah, hopefully get back into
hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Definitely. So Zacarias, give us an update on just Juarez. Obviously, we talked about the preseason and what happened with that small cup, but from the Jornada Uno till now, talk just a little bit about Juarez in general. What do you think regards to all the additions that they've had, and obviously with a new addition, Marco Fabian, which is was a surprise to us. But just give a little update on the team.
I mean, I guess I think that everybody, like the big elephant in the room, is talking about Marco Fabian joining this team. Because that was a move that I had heard rumored that the team was working with bringing back a Mexican international player, but there was really no names that were being given, and the team was being really coy whenever you would ask about it. So I would talk to la jefe de prensa or el jefe de prensa, and then they wouldn't say anything. They're like, well, we're working and we're in negotiations with the player. It's going to be a fichaje bomba, but then they would never really give any details about that. And so then it just seemed like out of nowhere, the deal came together, and then Marco Fabian joined the team. And I think obviously that is a huge boost in quality for FC Juarez, especially now that it is looking less and less likely that Diego Roland is going to be able to continue with the Borland club, which I think is a huge loss. The negotiations with Deportivo de La Coruña in order to sign Diego Roland have been stalling, and the last thing I heard was Gabriel Caballero basically saying that that Deport were being hard asses and were not going to budge on their $4 million asking price for Diego Roland, which the team up to this point seems really unwilling to match. And so Marco Fabian comes in and hopefully will be able to offer a much needed boost to the offensive side of things, because the club has been severely lacking without him up top. So I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing how he incorporates into the team once he's finally match fit. And so based on photos that the club has been uploading about training sessions and whatnot, I think that we could see him make his debut on Friday against León, which would be pretty exciting.
Interesting.
But in general, the team has just... Well, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to ask that. In general, what are you thinking about the team so far? Are you liking it, or what's going on?
I feel like it's a very disjointed team. It's a team that looks like it is lacking identity almost right now, because so much of their play was based on the high press that was really effective with a player like Diego Roland up top and Dario Lescano. And without Roland, the high press hasn't been anywhere near as effective. And the team just looks overall very disjointed. I mean, the thing that surprised me the most is that Jesus Ceballos has been one of the most consistent players, starting and playing every single minute of every match so far this season. I definitely didn't see that coming. I didn't even see him getting signed prior to this season, let alone being an instant starter and playing every single minute up to this point. And I think that he, alongside Intriago, have been the bright spots for the team, because they've been the most consistent, and at least everywhere I look, whether it be SofaScore or other sites that do match ratings, they have consistently been the highest rated players on the team. But I think there is one thing that really does need to be talked about, which is officiating related to FC Juarez, which I think I had a tweet about it, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was a period of time where there were 3 red cards and I think 4 or 5 penalties in a 2 or 3 game span awarded against Juarez, which is just nuts. And then if you take a look at that Pumas game where they have 2 players sent off and then they have a non-existent penalty awarded where you don't even go to VAR to check that, and then things like that have been very frustrating to watch, because some of the red cards, such as Eric Castillo flying in and in the Pumas game, were warranted, but other ones just looked like they weren't even a red card, wasn't even a foul. I mean, I think a perfect example was, look back to the game against Chivas. Their first goal comes off a penalty, and I don't see anything that even remotely resembles a penalty on that play.
Yeah.
But it's been a difficult last few games for Juarez, who had to play Pumas, Cruz Azul, Pumas, Chivas, Cruz Azul. Now they have León, and then they have Monterrey coming up after that. So it's been a very, very, very difficult stretch, which has kind of given a sort of grim outlook. Because at the start of the season, they got a draw and then got a win, and people were thinking, okay, well, they're not at full strength, and they've still been performing, been affected by COVID, but haven't been too negative in terms of results. And then everything has just slowly been feels like it's going downhill. Yeah,
downhill pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of that is due to the opposition rather than how the team has been performing, but I think that definitely plays a role in it, and the refereeing. But
yeah. Talk to me just a little bit about La Culebra. For me, when I saw he was joining Juarez, I was like, oh, I think that would be a great move. I really like him as a player, and I think he's just a player que, like, he can cause a lot of danger. How do you think team, in your opinion?
I feel like he's been a really good fit in the team so far. If he can stay disciplined, he can definitely have an impact because it's an area of need, which is pace on the wing and pace up top, because Dario Lescano can't do it all alone. Yeah. And frankly, the backup strikers of Brian Rubio aren't good enough. Or Victor Mañón. I mean, the guy was playing in El Ascenso MX with Loros, and then he just fell off the face of the earth, and somehow Juarez is signing him. So there's some things that really don't make... To me, those moves don't make a whole lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And it feels like, okay, well, we can't sign Diego Roland, so let's sign a bunch of... I guess it would be like we go to the yard sale and we buy everybody else's throwaways, is what it's been feeling like. So
leftovers.
The leftovers, the scraps, whatever's laying around in like the sale bin.
Well, you guys could be a new edition.
We know plenty about that. We know plenty about that here in Leon with getting the players that haven't worked at Pachuca.
Okay, so you could be the new version of the Club de Cuervos team, getting all the Mexican scraps at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been one of those situations where I feel like I just don't understand the logic in some of these signings.
It was a lot of signings during the window. It was like, what, 10 plus? Or
it was 10 plus signings. And again, the one that stood out the most to me was Flecha Zavala. I'm like, what the heck? Why are we signing a 30-plus-year-old midfielder who hasn't done anything in quite some time other than a short stint with Puebla where he was average at best? And then he comes in, and then he's performing as one of the best players on the team.
Blows your mind, doesn't it?
It's just one of those things. I'm like, what is going on?
Hopefully how you start is not how you end. No. You guys just have a lot of molding and especially with adapting players, because like you said, it looks like they don't have a sense of style of play. And I mean, it makes sense. You know, you miss out, especially you guys had a lot of cases of COVID, and we were saying on the podcast, it's just something inedible that's going to happen, and you just don't know who you're going to lose every other week.
And I think the thing that's most frustrating about it is the lack of communication. Well, as a person who covers the team, is the lack of communication about what players have been affected by COVID. I don't think we've ever officially announced the players that were affected by COVID. So you just see players like Mendieta who haven't played, and you're wondering, okay, does he not want to be does he not want to be there? Did he do something wrong in training? Is he hurt? Does he have coronavirus? What's going on? Or like the first couple of weeks with Dario Lescano, he played in Copa Telcel, and then all of a sudden he just wasn't playing. And everyone's like, well, what's going on? He's one of the best attacking players. And then by process of elimination and how long he's out, you kind of figure that he has COVID, but that's been equally frustrating. So I think the new signings plus the losing a key player have really made it a difficult start to the season for Juarez. The only thing that's been consistent is the 4-2-3-1 formation that we've been playing since Caballero came in as the manager.
Yeah, and I think in regards to, I don't think there's many teams out there that say, I feel like the players are the ones that say, hey, I was tested positive, just so they could just let the world know. And like you said, when we got the news of there was a couple players tested positive, we're like, well, it's going to be a process of elimination, like who's going to be convocado and who's not. And then you kind of have to do your own investigation for the players that you think have it. Yeah. And that's kind of what ends up happening.
But at least with Leon, you hear about, oh, we have 3 players that tested positive. And then you come time for Juarez. All right, let's look at the match day squad. Who's in it? Who's out? What's going on? I mean, the league didn't even announce anything at the beginning of the season, which I thought was weird since they were announcing everybody's cases. And then just, Juarez, nobody cares about that.
That's so disrespectful.
I mean, it feels like it. It's like...
No, yeah. You have a point. You're the fan. You're the one that feels has the emotions tied to it. So, Thanks for the update of the team. We're going to go ahead and go with Javier's Once Upon a Time. Javier, are you ready so I can cue your clip?
I was born ready. I don't know why.
Okay, let's cue the clip and now. Go ahead, Javier. Talk about history time regarding Leon and what is now FC Juarez.
Okay, well, today on Once Upon a Time in Leon history, I will be talking about the first ever incarnation of a Juarez football team. So sorry, Bravos and Indios, but today I'm going to be talking about Cobras de Ciudad Juarez and their epic win against Leon in la final de ascenso of 1988. Now, exactly a year after being relegated to Segunda División, do you have the clips?
You want me to go
in
first?
1987, clip? Leon. Yeah, you could put all the clips and I'll just continue to talk. Yeah, I think that would be great. Well, yeah, exactly a year after being relegated to Segunda División in 1987, León had una temporada del sueño de la mano de Pedro García. And for that reason, were the extreme favorites to win la final de ascenso and return to Primera División. Now, that exact same year, Cobras de Querétaro, a team that was run and owned by Grupo Televisa to carry veteran players y jugadores de las Fuerzas Básicas del América, was also relegated to Segunda División along with León. And after being relegated, Alejandro de la Vega bought the team and moved it to Juarez, thus birthing Juarez's first ever football team. Obviously, as we all know, they had an immediate success, reaching la final de ascenso against León, in which the first two games that were played in Juarez and León ended in both teams still being tied. Therefore, they had to play a third game in El Estadio Azteca, in which, unfortunately, but then again, not so unfortunate, because as we all know, everything happens for a reason. En el minuto 22, Juan Lino scored un autogol, and, well, Cobras defendió ese gol hasta el final, causing them to be campeones, winning the game, subiendo a Primera División, although I don't remember if they even lasted like a season or two, which is why I say everything happens for a reason, because that this game that León loses causes them to have an even worse season the next year, causing la directiva to sack Pedro Garcia, a very unforgettable coach for León, and causing la directiva to bring a then very unknown Victor Manuel Bucetich, who was very young and was only known for coaching Toros Neza very unsuccessfully. And I think we all know what happened next, right? He had a tremendous, amazing season that very first year. Los llevó hasta la final against Inter Tijuana. They beat Tijuana. They're promoted to Primera División. And just like Matosas in 2012, I feel León, el León de Bucetich, totalmente revolucionó el fútbol mexicano con su manera muy peculiar y única de jugar al fútbol. I think that's what el León de Bucetich brought, which is why the very next year against Puebla en la final, pues Bucetich nos consiguió la quinta, and all of that would have never happened if León would have won that game against Cobras. I really believe that. I really believe that if it wasn't for that, there would have never been a Rey Midas. I think we all know that what Rey Midas was able to do with León, y pues con eso demostró a todo el fútbol mexicano su manera de...
Oh, he went mute. Javier, we can't hear you. You went mute. Right when we were all getting a history lesson. We can't hear you.
Javier, unmute.
He keeps talking. I cannot mute him. We were just getting to the good part. And he's gone.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll get him back. Apologies, giving us such a great history, and we have lost him. But hopefully we'll get him back. He was going on like a nice rant.
That was good.
I insist on hearing the end of that story.
I guess, Louis, let's go with you before we get I don't know, Javier's not coming back. We'll see if he comes back. But we're going to go with Louis' segment in regards to traveling history. So let's just go ahead and take it away.
Well, usually I have multiple games and trips. This one
Oh no.
only
Louis, you're lagging. And he's frozen. What is it? What is up with it
No.
today?
Apparently, whoever gets the segment is cursed. I don't know.
Every segment, like, I mean, Javier has at least lasted a little bit longer. Louis, you're frozen. If you can hear us, go back and come back to stream.
It's that Mexican internet.
It's the Mexican internet. It's a struggle.
There he is.
Are you back?
Yeah, my Wi-Fi is I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, as I was saying, I usually have multiple trips to choose from and stories to tell. This one's easy. I've only made one trip to Juarez, and it was this past March 8th, right before the whole pandemic hit, and that was, to this date, the last game I have attended live. So I mean, it's very, very memorable, not just because of the game. But the trip was pretty cool. You know, that was my first time really spending any sort of time in Juarez. I'd passed through on a couple of road trips just to cross the bridge. But this was my first time spending any time in Juarez, and I had a great time. Walked all around the city. Took no advice of anybody that that's a dangerous thing to do. Walked all around. Walked from my hotel in the center of town all the way across the bridge to Chico's Tacos in El Paso. Walked back the next day, walked from my hotel to the stadium, stopping by Juan Gabriel's house along the way, doing all the typical Juarez things, and then went and got to see a very rainy but ultimately very, very exciting match. Big win for León, which kind of put them back at that time, what we thought into, you know, on the right track towards greatness again. They'd struggled in Conca Champions. They'd had a rough match against Chivas, and we weren't sure what direction the team was going in at that point, but we knew they had the talent and the pieces to get the job done. They go into Estadio Olímpico Juarez, where Juarez had been very, very good, very strong, very tough to beat on their home soil at that point. And we just go in and play a rough first half, go in the second half and just destroy. And I was going nuts to the chagrin of all the Juarez fans around me. On a rainy, uncomfortable night, León gets a big, massive result, and everything's looking up. Fly back on the same flight as the team back to León. After that, and at the baggage claim, everybody's just in amazing spirits, and everything's just going peachy. And we're on the right track back to where we need to be. And then the pandemic hits and the season's canceled. Yeah. And,
I just got one question about that trip. What motivated the Chico's Tacos experience? Because I'm going to be crucified if I say what I actually think about that place. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and just listen to what motivated that.
Well, Zacarias, I'm a big fan of Gabriel Iglesias, the comedian. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
And one of his comedy specials was filmed in El Paso, and he did an entire segment about Chico's Taco. Well, not an entire segment. You know, he wanted to appeal to his El Paso crowd that he was playing for. So he did this whole thing about Chico's Tacos, and his whole thing is it's the only place on earth where you can drink a taco. You know. So I'd been there once before on a road trip, and I was like, I don't know. Being in Juarez, I could sense that I was close to Chico's Tacos, and I had to go there. Like I was being drawn to it. So I walked across the bridge to Chico's Tacos. Like the main original location is just right there across the bridge and around the corner. So I went, and you know, they're not the most amazing thing, but man, if you haven't had that specific flavor in a while, you really miss it. I don't know what it is. It's something about it draws you in. Yeah.
Something about being able to drink a taco. It really does it for you.
And then I ate there and walked right back across the bridge into Juarez, where I was not even approached by anyone wanting to see any form of identification at all, which is strange. Because anytime I go to Tijuana, like last time I went to Tijuana, I saw Carlos there. And I walked across the bridge, and there you have to wait in line and show your ID. Walking back into Juarez, nobody asked for anything or to see anything.
That's kind of shady.
It's really shady, but it was like, really? Nobody's going to talk to me? Nobody?
Nah, they might have a guy standing
Hey,
there
I'm
with a
coming
gun, but that's about
illegally
it.
over. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they don't care until you're about 100 miles outside of town. Then you might have to answer some questions, but yeah.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
my one and only
Yeah.
trip to Juarez, and boy, was it memorable for many reasons. Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, that game was not very
Yeah.
fun up in my
We
little
got-
corner of the stadium.
No, yeah. Well, well, I was there with a friend of mine who lives in Juarez, who she's not a fan of the team really, but we went. I talked to her in advance. I'm going to be up there. She picked me up at the airport. We hung out. We went out clubbing the night before the game, and then we went to the game together. She's not really a fan, but her brother's in the porra, so we had to meet up with him at the end of the game, and so they could give me a ride back into town. And yeah, I just mostly didn't say anything about the game.
That's probably for the best.
You know what? You know what drew him to the Chico's Tacos? He's probably hung over and he just needed something.
Yeah. It all makes sense now.
True.
I did go to, I don't remember the name of the bar, but I went to a nightclub where some of the members of our porra had also randomly showed up. There was live music. It was a lot of fun. Man, that's just, I'm getting so nostalgic because who knows when I'm going to be able to do a trip like that again.
Aww.
You know?
Louis just a walking party everywhere. Everywhere he goes,
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah.
finding a new place and running
Well,
into
and I
people.
had a great time in Juarez. I mean, when you don't spend any time in Juarez, you live in another part of Mexico, especially. Like you just hear all these things about Juarez, and like, and then I went, and I had a really, really good experience there. So yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Nice.
And now, you know, these kinds of trips are put on hold indefinitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. And I think we had Javier back, but he left. I think he's still having some issues, so we'll see. So we're gonna just go ahead and move forward with talking about players on each side of each other's team, kind of who would be dangerous. So Carlos or Louis want to let Zacarias know, what players do you think Juarez should be watching out for?
Well, I mean, the elephant in the room right now is the newest COVID news, which puts 3 of our key pieces out of the matchday squad.
Yeah.
On the offensive side of the ball, mostly Meneses is the biggest one who won't be able to play. He scored a really nice goal from a tight angle when he honestly hadn't been on the greatest run of form in the matches prior to that. He kind of came out of his shell a little bit and looked like the Meneses that we know and love. His stats were incredible, not just the goal, but like the ground he covered and the running and just his pace and everything. He really came out of his funk a little bit in this last game, and now all of a sudden he's unavailable again, and that's a big loss. We have people who can cover that, either, you know, Joel Campbell is another spot starter, but on the other side, or even Mena, who's a left-footed player too, can be on that side, even though he's usually deployed as an inverted winger on the right. I mean, he can play on either wing. We have Mena back. I would imagine Mena would start. He was part of the previous COVID news, but he should be back now, and I would assume he would start. So he's definitely someone to watch out for. Campbell, if he doesn't want to get cute, should be someone to watch out for. Nico Sosa might be back, and he should be hungry. If he plays, I would watch out for him. Armando Leon showed a little bit of quality in the limited minutes that he got against Xolos. Avion Ramirez is you know the unsung hero, the unexpected bright spot. And coming in from the Ascenso, we didn't even think we'd be getting a real Liga MX player, and he has been a revelation. Just going out there and doing work, and nothing flashy, just really, really effective. And Navarrito, who I didn't think, aside from his rather routine assist on that Meneses goal in the last game, I don't think he played a very good match against Xolos, but he could come out again back from COVID. He could come back and be really effective. we have these players missing, but we still have a lot of weapons in their place, and people have ragged on our bench, and we don't have a lot of depth. But I mean, you just think about the players that are out, and you look at that starting lineup, and you look at the players we'll still have available on the bench, and I think we will still be plenty dangerous. I think the thing that scares me the most is in goal. I think Poncho without Cota, Cota's is one of the better goalkeepers in Liga MX, and he's been just a stalwart and a really solid. You just know, confidence booster, builder. We know that we're good with him in goal no matter what. Poncho Blanco has not seen any minutes for Leon. He's coming off a pretty decent stint with Pachuca, but who knows what he's going to bring. He's definitely a Liga MX caliber goalkeeper, but he's not Cota. So of the three absences, as good as Tecillo and Meneses are, we played without Tecillo the entire second half against Xolos and looked pretty solid still. Again, Meneses, we have players who can cover that spot.
Yeah.
But there's nobody who can do what Rodolfo Cota does in goal. Poncho Blanco, I mean, let's just hope he doesn't have any gaffes, any howlers. That's pretty much the best we can expect from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man,
I agree.
My boy Louis just went through the whole lineup.
Literally.
I was gonna say, so you think Juarez has to watch out for the whole team?
Yeah, and he missed the most important player of all, the one I like to rub in Juarez players or Juarez fans' faces.
Oh, Chapito. The guy who ages like wine.
Subconsciously, I was thinking, I have to leave Chapo for you, Carlos.
Ah, okay.
Sure.
Damn it. Man just ages like wine. I say it all the time. I sound like a broken record, but I can't remember his name. Shout out to him. He works for Orlando City. He was like, man, look at Chapo. I was like, he ages like wine. I'm telling you, like this man is on fire. And we started reminiscing, like what could have been in that World Cup. Like, yeah, so heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to talk about sad things. Javier, we will finish right now. Okay, we will finish with your part right now. Okay. Carlos, you have anything to add to Louis before we ask Zacarias for his side?
That's it. I mean, Louis just ran through the whole roster.
I'm sorry, man. I got a little carried away.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Sure, no, got to look out for the whole team.
Yeah, just look out for the whole team.
But no, but the Chapo thing is important. The Chapo thing's important. As long as he's healthy, we got a shot.
Yeah.
Zacarias, what do you think? Are you going to give us your whole team, or you have some more handpicked players?
I could give you the whole team, but I have no idea who the hell's going to be on the field. So I think just based on quality-wise and things I've seen from beforehand, I think that Dario Lescano, Jefferson Intriago, and Eric Castillo are definitely going to be the three players that you need to watch out for more than anyone else. Intriago is really the motor of the team and keeps the ball moving, and is definitely, when he has a good game, the rest of the team has a good game. Dario Lescano is key up top. He's probably the best attacking player in the squad right now, and if he has a good game, I think that Juarez has a chance to play, has a chance to compete, has a chance to potentially take 3 points from this match. Although at this point, I'd be just happy with a draw, anything other than a loss. Castillo, I think Castillo can offer a lot on the wing, especially with the speed and definitely being one of the, he's better than Flavio Santos, so he's got that going for him. And that's basically our alternative if Castillo is out with COVID, is Flavio Santos, and I don't want to see him anywhere near the pitch because I just think he is the worst player on our squad. Even if there are clearly players worse than him, I just don't like Flavio Santos. And then I guess one sneaky player to watch out for would be Maxi Olivera on the free kicks. Would be to avoid giving away a free kick after his golazo against Pumas a couple weeks ago. I think he's definitely got a cañonazo in him every now and then. Yeah. And then Vasquez Mellado, assuming that he's healthy in goal, is going to be tough to get a shot past.
So let me ask you this, because we asked Eduardo when we had him for the preseason how he felt hearing Lescano was leaving. Did you have the same heart attack that he had? The whole PR stunt that they did of Lescano leaving, or you were more calmer than Eduardo was like? He messaged me. He was like, "What is happening?" He was just so panicked. So I want to get your reaction on your side.
During that whole stint, I didn't believe it. I was like, nah, this can't be real. There's no chance. No chance he's leaving. Nah, it's not going to happen. And then I thought, oh, well, I didn't think Roland was leaving either. I was like, nah, they'll both be back. And then here we are with Lescano and no Roland. So I didn't believe either one of them. And now one of them is slowly and painfully starting to become the reality.
And he wants to stay, right? He's like wanting to stay in Juarez.
Everything that he said is that he wants to stay in Juarez. He's happy with the club. He's happy with everything. And then it comes time for the Deportivo La Coruña y FC Juarez directivos to actually sit down and work out a deal. And it just doesn't come into fruition. I don't know if Juarez is just really lowballing them, if they really don't have the money. But from my point of view, shell out the $4 million now or pay the 120 million pesos for finishing in the bottom at the end of the season. Either way, it's roughly $4 million. So at least one of them gets you a quality player. Seems like a better investment than having to pay the la multa, digamos.
Yeah, definitely. I think that situation when we were kind of the unknown, and then you same with Roland, kind of like with the club and what's going to happen.
I mean, he's indicated on multiple occasions that he wants to stay. I'm pretty sure he's still in Juarez right now. Like, he hasn't left. So, and last I heard was that he was still running training with the team, but that was about 3 weeks ago was when I heard that. So I haven't really seen any updates. It's gone cold other than Caballero's comment about Depor a couple weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Nice.
We'll definitely see what happens. Diego Roland, a really, really good player. The rumors when he landed in Mexico was like, oh, America, and then he went to Juarez and he had his time there. So I'm hoping he stays in Mexico. Great to keep a player with a quality like that. Javier, let's go ahead and finish your segment because it was just so beautiful before we disconnected.
All right. My laptop is evil. It saw that I was really getting into my segment and it decided to mute me. But I always thought when it mutes me that you guys can hear me. So that's why I kept saying like, oh, I know you guys can hear me, but
no, we really could not hear you.
Yeah, I know exactly where it cut off. I was talking about Vucetich and Leon and how Vucetich did a lot for Leon, but Leon did a lot for Vucetich. I said that I think if it wasn't for Leon, we would have never probably known Rey Midas as he is known today. Because I think with León él pudo demostrar en Primera División la genialidad que tiene para dirigir equipos y sacarlos campeones. I mean, sacó campeón a Tecos, Pachuca, Monterrey. He did great things with Querétaro. But definitely that was, yeah, like Tecos was.
No, the streak ends. The streak ends with Chivas. I'm just going to throw that in there.
That is true. That is one of the things I was going to say at the end, Louis. We think alike. But yeah, exactly. I think that the best thing Chivas has done in a while, bring Vucetich, but I think his golden touch ends with Chivas. And I'm just saying that it all started with Leon. And really, when he was signed with Leon, no one knew who he was. He was very young, which is very rare for a young técnico even for Segunda División, and he was not known.
You know how old he was?
I think he was like early 30s.
Wow.
Yeah,
because isn't Diego like the youngest también right now?
Diego,
the coach for this is Diego Luna. Who's he coach for?
Diego Alonso or Diego who?
No. Continue. I'll think of the name.
Who are you talking about? What Diego?
No, continue.
No, well, he was very young, especially back in those days. La directiva se la jugó para Vucetich, and it resulted in a lot of great things. Like I said, after that, Tecos said, hey, you know what? Let's sign this guy. Los hizo campeón a Tecos in 1994, which is just crazy. And after that, he did a lot of great things with Monterrey, Pachuca, Querétaro, etc. But that was it. I was pretty much done. I hate my laptop. It ruined the moment. I was really getting into it, man. I was getting into it. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about this, and that. It was all improvised at the end, too.
That was good, though, man. That was good.
Oh, thank you, guys. Yeah, because I didn't want to talk about.
I was like, man, we're just
talk about initially about Bravos and like, oh, well, they eliminated us in La Copa MX, but I like going back in the day and seeing the vintage videos. Like last time I was going to Tijuana, once upon a time in history of León, but the same thing happened. I don't know why. I don't know why.
We're gonna have to get your segment in early or something. I don't know, because something's going on.
I think that would be amazing.
Don't worry,
have to
we'll figure it
pre-record
out for next week for sure.
Okay. That's
Alex
nice.
Diego, he's the Querétaro coach. He's
Oh,
35
Alex
years
Diego.
old. Yeah, Alex Diego.
Yeah, and I think was the teacher at 32. So
Okay, nice. So let's go ahead and end the show with prediction time, and let's cue the clip because we don't have a jingle yet. We'll work on it, Javier,
why are you guys looking at me?
because you're the jingle guy. But
All of us gotta write it. All
okay, we'll all write it. Let's cue the clip.
Yeah, Louis plays la trompeta. He definitely he's more qualified than me to write a jingle.
Prediction time, Javier. Let's start with you. Your prediction for.
Sorry, I had to do it.
There you go. Friday night's game. Go ahead.
I mean, before the COVID cases, I was like 2-0. But now, and I you know, honestly, that 3-2 game with Cruz Azul, I think Bravo plays well. They were my dark horse last year. I said it many times. And for that, I have a lot of respects, but I still think we're going to win. It's just going to be 2-1 instead of the 2-0.
2-1, Javier. Carlos.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Javier. It's going to be 2-1. It's over there, right? The match is in Juarez?
Yes.
Yeah, I think 2-1. But I expect Campbell to have a big game. I think he had a pretty big game off the bench last season when he came off the bench and tore things up. So I expect Joel Campbell to score a goal. But yeah, 2-1.
2-1 as well. Louis.
I'm going to be a little more ambitious. I'm going to go with a 3-1.
Okay.
I saw the COVID news, and then I pretty shortly thereafter went into my lineup 11 app and where I have all of our roster laid out, and I was like, well, what might the lineup look like with those absences? And I realized we still have a lot of good options to cover those spots. The starting 11 we are likely to put out, we don't know exactly what it'll be, but it's still going to be pretty strong. And we played a couple of matches and had success with other guys missing that are now back. It's just going to be a merry-go-round of just a carousel of players out and in. But the nice thing about Club León, the way they've had success is just being fluid, just guys coming in and being effective no matter where they play, and being fluid with especially in the attack on the positions. And the defense this season has looked solid no matter what. I don't think Juarez is going to find anything easy, no matter what our back line looks like, even without Tecillo. And I think the club, even with these absences rounding into form, they've looked a little bit better each outing. And I think what you said, Zacarias, about the team looking a little disjointed, not really finding itself yet. Even if Marco Fabian plays, I mean, he's going to need a little time to get used to the system and everything. I think León goes in there and has a really, really solid, convincing 3-1 win. I also think Poncho Blanco is going to be surprisingly good in goal.
3-1 ambitious. Zacarias, with your comeback of scoreboard.
Oof. My initial reaction before I came on the pod was that León was going to win 3-1, but with dominating possession, like 70-30, just because Juarez has been terrible with possession stats. But hearing that Cota's not in net, I'm going to be a little bit more ambitious and say maybe Juarez sneaks out with a 2-1 win. A couple of goals due to some goalkeeping inexperience.
Okay. 2-1, throwing it back. I really don't know what to expect this game. 6-2. Do what?
I said, here's Scotty with like your 6-2, León.
This game, I'm not feeling like super confident, and we just lost Javier again. Just because I think with Cota, I have no with Cota, it's like I feel safe. For right now, obviously I'm going to give the benefit of doubt to Blanco. He needs minutes. We never know if Cota's going to be out again down the road. Was he not a bad goalkeeper? Obviously, it's just we hold our players to such a high standard, especially if we have Cota. We need someone else to be equally as. So, losing Tecillo, that's a big aspect. Meneses también, but we do have players. I want to say 2-0. Like, giving the benefit of the doubt. Like, you know what? I think Blanco's going to keep a clean sheet. But I'm sinking into the 2-1 that it's going to be like a like a good matchup. I don't know. With Juarez, the games with Juarez, it's just, I think there's just those particular games with certain teams that it's just so I'm going to go with 2-1 as well. 2-1. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2-2.
If we're following these annoying refereeing trends, it's going to be Leon scoring like 4 from the penalty spot and like 6 players from Juarez get sent off. So I'm just waiting for the red cards to happen.
You're probably already traumatized. Like, oh, what now? Lescano's going to get sent off? Like, again? Like, yeah.
I mean, I think the highlight of this entire season has been watching the Pumas match and then just going through Rayo Fernandez's tweets as he's going, if they actually marked this penalty, let's just walk out and not finish the game, and him complaining the entire time. It was hilarious. That was definitely the highlight of this season. So at this stage of the game, hell, as long as nobody gets sent off, I'm counting it as a win.
No, it's like Aquino. If Aquino doesn't get, red card in it, and it's a good game for him because his temper is, as much as we love him, his temper can get out of control sometimes. But, well, those are our predictions. We will see what happens.
Other thing to consider.
Go ahead.
Yeah. There's one more thing to consider. Like if the game turns into a grind, like if it's not the 3-1 open game that I'm expecting it to be, because none of the games have been open like we've expected them to be. If it turns into a grind, I mean, Leon has been successful in those kind of games this season. So I would favor us in that situation. Again, I also think we have the players to cover the absences. So I mean, that's kind of the root of the confidence. I think we're doing better at not being so one-dimensional, winning in multiple ways. I know Jose is not convinced. He's not here to defend himself, so I won't drag down his point of view. He's not happy with the way we've been winning, and there's something to be said for it because it's not pretty and it's not what we're used to. But if the game does turn into a grind, if Leon plays a little bit more, just because of the absences they have, if they can't be as free and fluid as we're used to them seeing, even if it's a grind type of game, that favors us. So I just wanted to get that in there.
Yes. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll have Jose next week so he can back himself up. Because I'm kind of in between. Like I just get so frustrated from game to game, but for little things, not major things, because there is good things to take away from each game. But we will see what happens. Hopefully have functioning Javier back with his internet, Jose back as well, and hopefully we won't have all these delays, technical issues. It just happens, but we are gonna take off. So Zacarias, thank you so much for joining us, coming back. It's the second time back on, so we hope you come back again. And if people aren't following you, where can they follow you at?
They can follow me at Fronteriza Foot on Twitter. So I got all the FC Juarez news.
Sweet. Great job.
Yes, give him a follow. Everything. Yeah.
I was going to say you and the guy, what's his name? From Caballos del Norte. You guys do a great job. Keep it up.
Eduardo.
Shout out to Eduardo.
Shout out to Eduardo. Yeah. Great duo for everything FC Juarez in English. Make sure you guys follow them. Follow us on all the social medias. As you can see up on the screen, Friday night match, 9:30 Central. Hopefully it'll be a good match at the start of the jornada, and we'll be back next week. Oh, Carlos, let's give a shout out to Tom Marshall for shouting us out a couple weeks ago that we've been forgetting.
we kind of shouted him out last pod, 2 pods ago.
Okay. I'm late on that. That's when I was in here.
You can still
probably
shout him out if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the pod you want here.
Okay.
You can still shout him out.
Tom Marshall, shout out to you for shouting us out on Twitter for everything Club Leon in English. We appreciate it, and thank you for sharing our social media around. But yeah, guys, so we'll be back next week. Don't forget to follow Los Arriba Official on the left screen, and follow us on Twitter on the right side of the screen. Open your camera and scan our QR code. We're gonna take off, and we'll take off with our outro. Hopefully we have a victory Monday night, next Monday, talking about everything Club Leon that happened versus Juarez. The Lions and Podcast, this was episode 41, a cruise control flight. We will see you guys next week.